Hello beautiful friends, my name is Brittany, this is Rescues and Reads. Welcome back or welcome to the channel. I'm so glad this video found you because today we are officially boarding our flight on Delulu Airlines. The boarding gate has closed, we are taxiing out onto the runway. There is no turning back now. If you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, I recently posted this video talking about all the books that I need to read by the end of 2025. And that list was pretty delusional, not simply because of the number of books on that list, but the fact that I'm currently in a pretty major reading slump. And when I made that video, I had no intention of creating a formal TBR for the month of October. I say that like I filmed that video months ago when really it was last weekend, but I hadn't created any formal TBRs for August and September because of that slump. I know that I'm going to be gone in November, and in December I'm doing my advent calendar challenge. So I really had no reason to think that I would be doing a formal TBR for the month of October. But now that I kind of feel myself like popping back into the light, right? I can feel a little bit of my reading mojo returning slowly but surely, more engaged once again with the online bookish community. I remembered that my good friend Leandra over at Leandra the TBR Zero is once again hosting TBR Harvest. And in fact, she actually so kindly asked me to be part of one of the options that you can do for TBR Harvest, which was the Booktuber Bingo. And when I remembered this, I was thinking, okay, I need to figure out some way that I can participate in TBR Harvest, even if it's in a limited capacity. I need to find a way to support Leandra for the month of October. And am I going to be actually doing the Booktuber Bingo? No, I'm not. And that's primarily because I don't think it's going to allow me as much control over my reading as I feel like I need at the moment. And also, I don't feel like I'm going to be able to read enough books to actually potentially get me to a bingo. But what I am going to do is I'm going to be playing on the Pumpkin Patch TBR board, which I will go ahead and pop right up here for you. I, of course, will be sure to leave Leandra's channel and the announcement video down below, which will have all of the different options that you can use to participate in TBR Harvest. And it's going to have a link to the Google Drive that contains the game board. So as you can see here, I have a little Archie cat that I'm going to be using as my pawn. We're going to go ahead and start at the top of the TBR board. Now this TBR board actually has no beginning and no end. You can start wherever you want and you can stop playing whenever you want. So that makes this really, really flexible. And we are just going to go ahead and start at the top of the game board. Now, because I don't necessarily know how my reading is going to go in October, I don't want to say that I'm out of my reading slump because I don't think that's the case. I still think that I need to take things slowly and be really selective about what I do read. My goal for this is simply to collect all 5 of the black cats that you see on the game board. Now, there are 2 ways from my understanding that you can do this. Obviously, if you land on one of the pumpkins that contains the black cat, all you have to do is read the prompt associated with that pumpkin and you will collect the black cat. But if the die are really not cooperating and you keep going past those spaces, you can combine whatever prompt you do land on with the prompt where the cat is. So either way, I should have the option to collect all black cats. Now, there are only 5 of them, so theoretically, I should have no more than 5 books as a result of playing this game. However, if I keep rolling only very small numbers, it could potentially get a little bit out of hand. So we are going to play this game and we are going to hope that luck shines down on us and that I don't end up with too terribly much more than 5 books on my TBR for the month of October. Now we are going to go ahead and be playing virtually. So I'm going to be virtually rolling a D8. I decided that it was going to be a little bit too cheaty if I did 2 D6s, and I thought a D6 might be a little bit too unkind to me. So we are going to be virtually rolling a D8 and then I'm going to virtually show you the moves. And that's because I couldn't for some reason print out this game board. My printer was not printing in color for some reason. I have no idea what's going on with it. So we're just going to go ahead and do things virtually. And I think that it's going to work out pretty well. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and screen record and we are going to do the first dice roll. Okay, here we go. 1. Okay, we are off to a great start. So let me pull up the game board and see where we are. Okay, so this actually works out really, really well because where I decided to start on the game board, immediately below that space is the first black cat. So thankfully, my low dice roll worked out very, very well in this circumstance. So I can collect my first black cat by reading a book with CAT either in the title or in the author's name. So let me go ahead and think about that one and I will be right back with my choice. Now, I do believe for this prompt, it doesn't actually have to spell CAT in that order. You just have to have the letters for CAT. I hope that I am correct about that. If I am not correct about that, please correct me down below. I'm going to go based on the idea that it doesn't actually have to spell CAT in that order. And I should preface all of this by saying that a lot of these books you will have already seen in that video that I posted about all the books that I want to read by the end of 2025. Obviously, those are going to be the priority. So anyway, without further ado, the book that I have chosen to satisfy this prompt is Well Actually by Maeve Maisie Eddings. So as you can see, actually has CAT right there, only slightly out of order. Now, this is definitely not a book that I would equate with spooky season, but it is a book that I'm a little bit nervous about because it is outside of my comfort zone, and I want to go ahead and read it and give it a shot. This follows our main character, Eva, and she is the host of a radio show called Sausage Talk. And essentially on this show, she interviews B-list celebrities over wieners. And on this show, she ends up calling out her college ex who ghosted her back when they were dating. And these days, her college ex is actually a really popular social media personality, and his whole thing is kind of teaching men how to be good partners by deconstructing toxic masculinity. And when he realizes that he has been called out by Eva, he thinks that he has to do something about it. So he makes her a deal that he is going to take her out on some dates, and he's going to try to atone for his past sins. And then on her radio show, they can kind of debrief after every date. And I believe, of course, the feelings are going to turn real. One of the reasons why I selected this was because it sounded like a really interesting premise for a second chance romance. I had never heard anything quite like this before. And so I did want to give it a chance, even though y'all know that I'm not really a big romance girly, but I feel like this fits the prompt and it's going to be a good excuse to read it, especially since I do own this physically and I need to go ahead and get it done. Okay, let's move on to roll number 2. Okay, we have another small number, so let's pull up the game board and see where that lands me. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this got us past one of the cat prompts. It landed me on a jack-o'-lantern, and a jack-o'-lantern is basically harvest elsewhere. And so essentially what that means is you have to kind of look elsewhere for a prompt. You can look at one of the other TBR Harvest challenges. You can go to another readathon that's happening in the month of October and select a prompt from one of those readathons, etc. So what I think I'm going to do for this is, since the first week of bingo prompts has already been released at this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and watch that video and see if I can find something from there. And then in order to collect the cat, I either have to do a comfort genre or a hobby break. And so that probably just means like participate in a hobby of some kind while you are reading. So let me go ahead and see what has been released for Booktuber Bingo, and I will be back. So I'm going to go ahead and use comfort genre in order to collect my cat. And for one of the Booktuber Bingo prompts, the prompt was to read a book with like Halloween spooky vibes. So I think for this, what I've selected is Salt Bones by Jennifer Givon. I do know that it is a horror novel. It is going to be a Persephone and Demeter retelling, but it's also going to be told from a Latinx and indigenous cultural perspective, and I'm here for it. This says, Malamar Veracruz has never left the dust-choked town of El Valle. Here, Mel has done her best to build a good life. She's raised 2 children, worked hard, and tried to forget the painful, unexplained disappearance of her sister, Elena. But when another local girl goes missing, Mel plunges into a fresh yet familiar nightmare. As a desperate Mel hunts for answers, her search becomes increasingly tangled with inscrutable visions of a horse-headed woman, a legend locals call La Ciguanaba, who Mel feels compelled to follow. Mel's perspective is joined by the voices of her 2 daughters, and the 3 of them must work to uncover the truth about the missing girls and their community before it's too late. Combining elements of Latina and indigenous culture, family drama, mystery, horror, and magical realism in a spellbinding mix, Salt Bones explores the long shadows cast by environmental catastrophe, family secrets, and the unrelenting bond between mothers and daughters. So like I said, that sounds really captivating to me, really atmospheric, and I am super excited to get to this. I think that it's going to be perfect for spooky season. Okay, roll number 3. 8. Okay, so we have a nice big number here. So that's going to gain me some ground. So let me pull up the board here. Okay, so I think what I want to do is I want to go to the left here and grab this cat really quick. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, okay, so that actually landed me on the next cat prompt. So I passed a cat and then I landed on a cat. So the cat that I passed was to read a scenic book, and then I landed on a cat which was highly anticipated. And this one might be stretching it a little bit, but I really want to get to We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. This is Karen Slaughter's newest release. This is definitely going to be a dark mystery. I think that this is going to give that intensity that you are typically looking for in a thriller or a mystery during this time of year. All right, friends. Well, so far these dice rolls have actually been really kind to me because I've only rolled 3 times and I've been able to collect 4 of the 5 cats. So let's see what this next dice roll can give me. 6. Okay, we have another fairly big number, so let's see what we can do on the game board. Okay, so we have my game board up here, and the last cat that I want is here at the bottom. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we actually ended up landing on that final cat, which works out perfectly. And so this is to read 51% or more of a book at night, and I have just the option for this. So the book that I plan to read for this prompt is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This was a romantasy that really took the internet by storm. It was never really something that was on my radar. It wasn't anything that I really had any excitement over reading or plans on reading. However, this was a Book of the Year finalist in 2024, and as y'all know, I am currently doing a project to read all of the Book of the Year finalists since they introduced Book of the Year finalists back in 2016. I've already done all but the years 2022, 2023, and 2024, and this is actually the final book that I need to read for the very last round of reading Book of the Year finalists. So once I finish this, I will be done and I will be able to post that third and final vlog for you. And the reason why I think this is perfect for this specific TBR Harvest prompt is that this is a fantasy and it's something that I plan to immersively read. And these days I have been attempting to do that before bed. Now, I am a little bit nervous about it because since going into my slump, I have not attempted to really read anything physically at night before bed. It's not where my mind has been. I haven't been able to sit down and concentrate on a book. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if I've ever actually fully read the synopsis of it, so we're going to see what it says. When Ophelia discovers her mother brutally murdered, there is no time to grieve. She has inherited the family's fearsome magic and enormous debt. Circumstances go from dire to deadly, however, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Phantasma, competition where contestants rarely escape alive, and the victor is granted a single wish. The only way for Ophelia to save her sister is to win, but Phantasma is a cursed manor full of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms, staffed by enticing demons and fatal temptations, and Ophelia must conquer all 9 floors to succeed if her fears don't overtake her first. When a charming, arrogant stranger claims he can help, Ophelia knows better than to trust him, but with her sister's life on the line, Ophelia can't afford to turn him away. She'll just need to ignore the overwhelming dark attraction drawing them closer and closer together, because in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. So I'm really excited about this. I've heard amazing things. It has the whole trial/competition aspect to it, which I typically really do love in a fantasy, and I do believe that these are getting some beautiful special editions that are coming out, and so if I really do love this, then I plan on picking one of those up. So I am really looking forward to getting to this one for sure. All right, so those dice rolls actually ended up being much kinder to me than I was expecting. I was able to collect all 5 cats in just 4 dice rolls. So I actually only have 4 books on my TBR for October, and that is a very nice, reasonable number, especially right now for me with my reading slump. And so theoretically, I should just stop here. I should just quit while I'm ahead. In honor of Delulu Airlines, we are not going to do that. I think that I'm going to go ahead and bust out my trusty dusty HRCYED spinner wheel. I have been still attempting to participate in HRCYED as much as I can during this reading slump, right? Every single book that I do manage to read, I'm still trying to plug it in and make it fit for HRCYED. I just haven't really been making any content about it. I've typically been featuring the HRCYED spinner wheels in my TBR videos, but since I haven't been making TBR videos, that hasn't really been apparent. But we're going to go ahead and whip it out, and hopefully I can get 3 prompts that are kind to me that will add something good to this TBR. Okay, spin number 1. BIPOC author. Okay, well, I actually have the perfect thing for that already selected, and that's Salt Bones by Jennifer Givon. So something that I forgot to mention when I was introducing this video is that within HRCYED, one of the challenges that we actually have to do is complete somebody else's readathon. And so I'm going to be using TBR Harvest to satisfy that challenge. Every single one of the books that I'm reading for TBR Harvest is going to go towards that, but I'm able to double up with every single book. So a book can satisfy more than one prompt if applicable, right? And so now I'm not only going to be able to use this for the readathon challenge, but I will also be able to use this for one of the BIPOC author slots as well. Jennifer Givon herself, I believe, is Latina and Indigenous, so that is going to work out really well. I super hope that I love this and I don't DNF it, because if I DNF it, I'm not able to count it towards HRCYED, even if I get past the 51% mark. So fingers crossed that I really love this story. Spin number 2. Spooky creatures, and in parentheses you see magic users, and that's because there are multiple different spooky creatures that I have to read about for HRCYED, and so this one specifically wants me to read a book with magic users in it. That works perfectly for October, and honestly, I think I already have a book on my TBR that is perfect for this prompt, Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This is going to feature magic users, and so I'm able to double up with this one as well. Okay, let's do one more spin. fantasy subgenre. I'm gonna see what I'm able to find for this one. So I was looking through all the books that I want to read by the end of 2025, and I think the one that works perfectly for this is actually Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is a paranormal romance. I don't typically read a lot of paranormal romances. Bride was actually the last paranormal romance that I read, and so I think that this would work perfectly for the fantasy subgenre because I don't even know if I had it on my radar to read a paranormal romance for this, and so this will fit itself in nicely. If you're not familiar, Bride by Ali Hazelwood was a romance essentially between a werewolf and a vampire, and of course they are opposing clans, they are enemies, but for a political alliance, our main character Misery, the vampire, has to go live in werewolf territory, and she has kind of been selected for an arranged marriage with Lo, who is the head of the werewolves, and so this is about their developing relationship. But what I really loved about that story was simply the politics. I thought that it made it really interesting and a little bit more deep than a lot of the other paranormal romances that I have tried in the past, and I'm looking forward to Mate. I do know that it follows a different couple, and so I'm hoping that I have a great time with it as well. I typically do enjoy Ali Hazelwood. I don't read everything that she writes. Like, I haven't read her young adult Check and Mate. I haven't read her new adult Deep End or anything like that. But in the adult romance sphere, I do think that she does a pretty good job for the most part. And I'm going to trust that I will enjoy Mate as much as I did Bride. So both the gods of the dice roll as well as the Herkid spinner wheel were on my side, because ultimately after all of that, I still ended up with only 5 books on my TBR. And that is perfect. I think that I can, even if I don't fully come out of my slump in October, I think that I can easily read 5 books. The only one that I'm even hesitant about is Phantasma, just because it's a longer fantasy and I don't know how often I'm going to be able to sit and concentrate on a book. But it will eventually get read. I have to read it, and maybe by making myself sit down and read it, it will kind of break that part of my slump as well, which I'm really, really excited about. So I am pretty pleased with this TBR. Please comment down below and let me know if you are participating in TBR Harvest. If so, which version of it are you going to do? Because there are 3 different ways that you can participate. What books are on your radar for the spooky season if you are not participating in TBR Harvest? Or if you've made it to the end of this video and you are not feeling chatty, of course, go ahead and leave me a little pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern emoji in honor of the pumpkin patch game board that we played with today. And as always, if you like this video, or if you just like me, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. It's free for you, but it really helps me and my channel so much. And y'all know how much I absolutely love engaging with you in the comments below. And I would like to take this opportunity to give a super special shout out to my patrons. I love and appreciate each and every one of you, and you all truly make it possible for me to continue making this content. So thank you so much for being a part of this small community. If you yourself would like to join my Patreon, I always have that linked down below in the description, along with all of my other social media, as well as any book talked about in the video. Until next time, y'all. Bye.